April showers bring May flowers, and it brings the time for spring cleaning. A little lady general will march in and draft her husband to join the window washing brigade. See, dirt has a way of accumulating, but he can spiritually as well. We see in Matthew chapter 21 how the house of God was cluttered with carnality and covetousness. Christ comes to cleanse the temple thoroughly. Now, bear in mind that our body is now the temple of the Holy Spirit. And let's ask the question, does it need cleaning? Here in this Holy Week, on this Monday, these are the events on the calendar that transpired some 2,000 years ago. Listen to Matthew's account from Matthew chapter 21, verses 12 and 13. Then Jesus went into the temple of God and drove out all those who bought and sold in the temple, and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. And he said to them, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." Now, there was the necessity of the cleansing that we need to consider. God is love. He loves sinners. There would be no hope for you and for me. But he hates sin. His holy nature compels him to visit judgment upon evil. God never does sweep sin under the carpet. The Son of God possessed the same nature as his Father, and here we see his righteous anger boiling up and expressed forcefully in our text. See, the problem is that religious racketeers had set up shop in the house of God. The area where business was being transacted was in the court of the Gentiles, the place where Gentiles had to go to attend worship. There, amid all the noise and the smell of animals, the debate about the proper value of the currency exchanged, and the crowd of tables and people, worship for a Gentile was virtually impossible in those surroundings. Now, for those Jews, the temple was no longer about the message of the prophets, but making some profits. What good does it do to speak about heaven when our hearts testify we're living for this world? That is the hypocrisy, and the house of God today is often rife with it. No wonder pagan people who might want to seek God observe this and turn away. But then we move from the necessity of the cleansing to the nature of the cleansing. Christ felt an overwhelming passion to cleanse the temple, and so he forcefully took action. Do we have that same ruthless desire to drive out sin from our soul? I'm telling you, it's easy to get comfortable with clutter. I heard about two drunks. After a night in the tavern, they staggered out into the sun. Squinting, one says, "What's that I see?" His buddy answers, "Well, that's light." And then sniffing, the other one says, "What's that I smell?" His partner responds, "Well, that's fresh air." We can become so accustomed to the darkness and the stench of sin that it seems normal. May Christ confront us today with cords of conviction, driving us by discipline, upsetting the tables in our temple where we transact with worldliness rather than offer worship. The religious leaders challenged Christ's authority. Though they were blind to truth, he responds with his authority that would be affirmed by his crucifixion and resurrection. Can we cling to sin when it cost him so much? If he conquered death, ought he not rule over our hearts? Beware, lest we assume that we are carnal Christians when it is even worse. We may be counterfeits. It's time for spring cleaning from sin in our lives.